Now, I've preached on abortion before, and if you're interested in the sermon in which I try to lay out both sides as well as I can and then offer a conclusion that I have reached, if you're interested in that, it's available in the bookstore. You can read the chapter in my book, Confronting the Controversies. All of you who are guests with us tonight will receive a copy of that book as you walk out the door if you didn't already receive one last week. And you can read that chapter on abortion to really hear in detail how I've approached that and how many of us have approached that issue. But as you look at the issue of abortion, I would just at least summarize sort of this conclusion. My own life was shaped, and my views of abortion were shaped by the experience of my parents in the 1960s. In 1963, my mom and dad were seniors in high school at Shawnee Mission East High School. They were beginning their senior year when, and they had been dating for some time when they came together. The only time that they had ever done that. But it only takes one time. And within 6 weeks, my mother knew she was pregnant. Dad's 16, mom's 17. She finds out she's pregnant. She keeps that secret to herself for a couple of months. And finally, in January of 1964, her father finds out. He was flying a flight, he's a TWA captain, and he was flying to California. And when he found out, he flew back and then met with her and pled with her to have an abortion. The clinic was set up in Switzerland. The appointment was easily made, and she could go to college, and there'd be no disruption in her life, and this was what he wanted. And she said no. She said that she was not going to have an abortion, and she was going to have the baby, and she and her young boyfriend were going to get married. They had now turned 17 and 18, and she was told she wasn't to come back home. They got married, and their first few years of marriage, they lived right around the poverty level. Dad worked 2 jobs, and mom worked 1 or 2 jobs, and they gave up the dreams they had had. And that's a really humbling thing to think about, that I'm here because my mom and dad gave up dreams, and they sacrificed because they believed that this unborn life should come into the world. I was looking through an old family album this week, and I saw this photograph of my mom and dad. This was in June of 1964. I was born in July, and I'm actually in that picture at the bottom portion of the screen there. My dad's 17, my mom's 18 here, and you know, I just think how grateful I am that they felt that this was important and that they made sacrifices that I can't even begin to understand. And here's what I took away from that is, you know, sometimes our mistakes and our mess-ups and our sins, God redeems, and He brings something from them, and He accomplishes His purposes through them, through even our mistakes, even our sins. And I came to conclude, at least for myself, I don't think there are accidents or mistakes with God, not when it comes to children being born. So anyway, that has shaped my views of this issue. And I've always described myself, people say, well, where do you come out on this issue? And I've always described myself as pro-life with a heavy heart. A heavy heart because I've walked with members of our congregation through difficult pregnancies and know that there are times it is very, very hard. And I don't stand in judgment of anyone. Just, I think when it comes to reading the scriptures and looking at how my life played out, that God works in those situations in ways we can't imagine at the time. Well, in any case, you can read more about this if you choose in the chapter on abortion in my book.